Welcome to the Veterinary Marketing Podcast, where it's all about helping your veterinary practice attract, engage, and retain clients. Broadcasting a new podcast every Monday from sunny Southern California, here's your host, Brandon Bashirs.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode number 178 of the Veterinary Marketing Podcast. I hope you're having a wonderful day. In today's episode, we're going to talk about how to use micro-targeting to avoid expense, especially through the holiday season here. So we're going to see a significant rise in ad costs just because it's the time of year. And this is going to be increasingly more important, especially as there's more advertisers, less advertising space. So what we're going to do is help you to get lower cost per acquisition for clients and really create a marketing that's far more effective. So we're going to be talking about micro-targeting. I think it's very important, very relevant, and it's going to be increasingly more important as time goes on. So let's jump into today's episode. A few things I want to mention, though, before we begin. First, if you haven't signed up for the webinar coming up on the 9th, be sure to head on over to veterinarymarketingpodcast.com/webinar. It's a paid traffic webinar. We're going to talk about how to drive clients into your practice. It's going to be awesome. So don't forget to sign up. Go now to veterinarymarketingpodcast.com/webinar. All right. The other thing that I want to mention, too, is if you're not a member of the Veterinary Marketing Nerds Facebook group, you should totally join. Be sure to head on over to facebook.com/groups/the Veterinary Marketing Nerds. No spaces in there. And be sure to join. You can get help. You can comment things. That's probably the best place to reach me if you need help with anything. So head on over to that group as well. So let's jump into today's episode, micro-targeting. Now, what do we mean by micro-targeting? Well, I think there's a few things that you need to consider before we start. Number one, ad tools are incredibly amazing in that you can target down to, micro groups, micro niches of very small groups of people. And what that does is it makes content that's super relevant to them. It also makes it so that these small audiences are extremely economical when it comes to targeting and reach. If you have a group of 5,000 or 6,000 people in your immediate area, you're going to be able to reach all of those people for, $20 or something like that, which is incredibly cheap. So the question is, who is it that you're trying to target, and what kind of offers do you have that are going to be very beneficial to reach these pet owners? Now, I do think that there's times when you want to have as wide of a net as possible when it comes to your targeting. Specifically, if I'm running ads for general offers, new client offers, things like that are more general for a practice, then I'm going to absolutely be targeting for geographic areas that are just kind of as wide as we possibly can go, and I actually don't put too many additional filters on top of that. I just want to get as much possible engagement and connection when I'm casting a net, but that's for awareness content. Today we're talking about driving people into your practice based on how they've engaged with your business, what kind of products that they're interested in, what kind of services they're interested in, and things like that. So what happens is, this time of year, which is October when this is being recorded, through the end of the year, advertisers start to ramp up ad spend, especially right now when the economy has been great in terms of selling online. And so people have ad budget to spend. If they don't spend it, they lose it, type of a thing, especially in the corporate world. So that being said, we need to be aware that it's going to have an increase in ad costs just because there's more competition. And especially too when we have election seasons like this, they just start throwing money like crazy. Now, if you are doing AdWords, you're not going to see as much of an increase in ad spend, simply because at the end of the year, you don't have the same level of competition in AdWords as you would inside Facebook. And that's what I love about AdWords for sure, is that it's just a different marketplace. In Facebook, you're competing with everybody who can possibly put an ad in the newsfeed or Instagram in their stories, right? You just have a limited amount of real estate and you're competing with everybody. Now, depending on the targeting that you're competing with or the action or the standard conversion event that you're going for, you're going to get different levels of cost there. But the important thing to know is that costs do rise seasonally. So you just want to be aware of that. Now, we're also running into the slow season for a lot of practices. And so you probably are going to want to start running ads, driving people into your practice and things. With that being said, you want to make sure that you're not wasting money. So let's talk about how to do that. Number one is you have to be extremely relevant in the content that you're putting out, right? So there's two ways that you can go about this. You can either make an offer that is more attractive, means that more people will want to take it, and especially if you're just wanting general type offers, figuring out a seasonal offer that makes sense to drive more people in to get really what they're looking for is going to be helpful. In Facebook or Instagram, you're going to have to do that in terms of getting more traction, especially as people become just inundated with ads and offers. It's going to have to look really good. So if you're not wanting to do that, you're not wanting to discount your services, here's a few things that you can do. The first thing that I think that you should consider is doing retargeting for your specific offers. Now, let's say you've had over the years, or over this year's, for example, you've had a bunch of people who've come in for dental quotes, but they didn't get their dental work done. There's probably a good chance that they are interested in still getting it. Maybe it was just too expensive. Maybe it was just too expensive in their mind. They couldn't justify it, even if they had the budget. And so if you create a special offer for specific services that you've quoted, but they didn't actually take you up on it, so it was lost business, so to speak, that would be a highly effective, highly lucrative marketing campaign that you could target then with custom email lists that you could upload. You could also use Gmail ads with this as well, which is really cool ad type. It's considered a display ad. And just retarget these small segments and reach a lot of them for a great price. You could also easily track it too, because if you're making specific pages that are talking about this very unique offer that they can't get to except through the ad, you're going to be able to track that easily, understand what the ROI of the ad set is, and measure how much it costs to get a client through that. That's one thing too that I think, especially if you're creating these micro segments of offers, for the offers, you need to have very specific landing pages that are going to explain the benefit to them. When you're getting super in-depth into what's in it for them, why they should care, and things like that, it's very, very important that you are really laying it out specifically for that group of people, because you're able to get so in depth. So for example, if you were targeting dachshund owners about IVDD or something that's very specific to them, you could get super in depth. You could use pictures that are relevant to them, that are going to speak to them. You could talk about language that they understand and really convert a lot better. So this kind of stuff, it takes work for sure, but if you're able to convert at a higher level, it makes it worth it. And the other thing that I think that are going to be good retargeting segments are basically visitation, recency. So specifically people who haven't been in from a certain amount of time, people who haven't been in, like maybe, hey, it's getting to be time. This is going to be important that you are coming back and getting all of your preventative done, especially before the holiday season. Make sure that everybody's healthy, and talk about stuff specifically that's seasonal too. I think that's super helpful. If you create an ad that says, hey, you haven't been in 6 months, and they're like, oh, it has been 6 months, I haven't thought about that, it's going to really speak to them a lot better. Now, the other thing that I think that you can do to really cut through the noise of the holiday season is to create micro content that is ultra specific to the different segments that you want to be bringing in. And I've been talking to a lot of practices who are doing an amazing job with this. And here's what I mean. So they have specific procedures, for example, that are super niche. And it's like they are the only person within 250 miles that offers this kind of service. Or they have very specific procedures that help and produce amazing results, right? Or, something that makes something that they're doing in their practice really unique. And I'm not trying to give away their trade secrets, which is why I'm talking in generalities, and I think it probably makes more sense to do that. But really understanding who your products are for, what they provide in terms of actual value to those super specific segments. Because again, these are not like are you treating a thyroid problem in cats, right? That's super specific. Are you treating dentals in senior cats? Are you treating, what are you doing that's very, very specific, that's going to be only for a small group of people, and create a piece of content that speaks exclusively to them. And then with that content, target very specifically with retargeting lists with lookalike audiences that are segmented down by location so that you can get laser targeting in the distribution of your content. When you do that, you're going to be able to create, again, retargeting lists of people who've engaged with like your videos specifically, and you'll be able to drive them to offers that are going to be far more relevant and ultimately convert a lot better. But I think that especially if you're seeing, things are tight in the ad budget area, we need to be very prudent with our ad spend. Let's make sure that we're not wasting anything. This is going to help you do that. Now, it's going to take a little bit more time because you're going to have to do the work of creating the content or the landing pages. If you have a web development team or an advertising team, they can help take some of that load off. But I think that this is a very great way to do that. The other thing that's really cool about this too is that if you don't make it necessarily seasonal, you just make it specific to the reason that you're showing up. So, if you're not saying, hey, it's a special Christmas offer type of a thing, instead you're saying, hey, here's a thyroid treatment for cats. You're able to use this as an asset in the future, especially if it works well. And it should work well if it's getting, as specific as it is. You're going to be able to really dial it in and use it frequently. So I like to have, typically 3 or 4 different offers that are rotated throughout time, just so that you're not giving people offer fatigue. You're showing up for different things. And I think that helps to make your ads super effective. So if you have any questions at all, please be sure to reach out. Don't hesitate to reach out, especially inside the group. And again, don't forget to sign up for that free webinar that's happening on the 9th. If you're past the 9th in the future, hello. You can still go watch it. It's all about paid advertising. I think it's going to be really, really solid. So head on over to veterinarymarketingpodcast.com/webinar. All right, everybody, have a fantastic day. I'll see you on the next episode.